Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and some more coverage for Lunar here. It's been a little bit since we've had something for the game. So the revised or second edition has come out. We've been just digesting some of that and getting ready for some more game content for you guys. But we decided to do a little mini series here on some of the scenarios because they've definitely been updated, expanded since the first edition. So, and that'll be part of the overall big increase in content that we'll have for the game moving forward. And in addition to some battle reports coming up soon, we'll also just get you guys some gameplay examples as well. So the first mission here is Capture the Cache, which has a set limit of 6 turns. So, and the cool thing with Lunar and a lot of these games here by Blacksite Studios is it's basically what's called like micro skirmish. So like a 2x2 board is the default here. So very small, very quick to get into the action. So this mission is on a 2x2 board meant for 2 players. Place a mining node A in the center of the board and then 2 supply nodes B and C on the edges. Again, we'll take a look here at the picture just to give you guys an idea. So pretty simple stuff there. There's no environmental hazards for this mission. Those can also be very deadly. We'll see that in other scenarios. The win conditions basically, so for every resource token returned into a player's deployment zone, that player gains a point. The game ends when all resources have been claimed or the turn limit is reached. The mission may end early if only one crew member remains because the other crew has been killed or has fled. The winner is the player with the most points at the end of the game. Players must return the resource tokens to their starting deployment zones in order to score. Once returned, they can immediately drop them onto the crew's stash or into the crew's stash. The resource is not placed on the table and will be used for tallying points. And then post-game credits. So the player, if you're playing as part of a campaign, for example, or just want to determine like for tournament purposes, player that collected the most resource tokens gains an additional 4 credits. The other players gain 2 credits. So there is always at least a point here in participating, especially if you do it like as a multiplayer and again part of a campaign. So the resource nodes here are slightly different though. The mining node is easier to get into, so it's only a difficulty of 4 up and yields a single resource token, and it has 3 total available there. Now B and C, again off on the sides, a little harder to get into. So, 5 up to be able to get that, and it does yield 1 resource token, and these only have 2 per as well. Harder to get into and fewer there, but again, sometimes it's easier just to stretch out and flank and then try and then race back and score those points, because certainly everybody's going to be gunning for the middle because it's easier. So it just creates some interesting tensions there in having not only multiple objectives, but then sort of different types of the objectives, where one is easier and has more available points to score from, whereas the others are more difficult and fewer resources to score from, but sometimes can be easier depending on the scenario layout, mission layout, terrain layout, to be able to get to, and also depending on just what forces you've selected for your groups here. So if you're more combat oriented, you could maybe just try and lock down the center, kill off some opposing units, and then eventually work on mining and getting some of those resources. And if you're mining heavy though, you might just make a break for the flanks and try and capture those, bring it back, because also the fun thing with this game too is once these have finished their yield, the objective is essentially gone, so there's no more to be mined from it. So then it does force you to sort of shift at some point in the game and go after the others if you haven't already. So just lots of interesting things that happen here in Lunar. So, and just some neat ideas that the game incorporates. So a fun one, even though this is again sort of the beginner or basic scenario, but just gives you an idea of what some of the things will be about in this game. So no environmental hazards to deal with, but and then you can see here as well the sort of deployment zones. So I do wish that they would kind of square those up, because it is a little bit harder to sort of verify what will be the deployment zones here. So you might have to have like a piece of string or something that you can easily use to set up those starting zones. And I wish that they would have clearly delineated just the inches from that. So, but that's still easy stuff to figure out. It's not really a big detraction here, but yeah, a fun scenario, and again, just a key part of what makes Lunar so different from a lot of the other games out there. If you haven't tried it yet, we'll put a link in the description. Blacksite Studios is the place to check out for this. The game is growing and expanding, and has a very easy entry cost as well. So like well under $100 to get started. So hope you enjoyed a quick look at this, and we'll be back with more for Lunar. Thanks so much for watching.